유일한 NFL 풋볼팀인 디트로이트 라이온스 팀의 본사에 와 있습니다. 이곳은 앨런파크입니다. 앞으로 한인 사회와 미시간의 유일한 풋볼팀 디트로이트 라이온스의 팀에 관하여 밝은 전망을 한번 알아보도록 하겠습니다. 커뮤니티 어페어스 담당자분을 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 매우 흥분됩니다. 그러면 한번 둘러보도록 하겠습니다. 지금 저는 디트로이트 라이온스 팀 커뮤니티 어페어스 디렉터 팀 도버스파이크스를 만나고 있습니다. Hello.
Hi, how are you today?
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out.
Okay. I'm going to give you several questions about Korean community and the Detroit Lions team. So, could you briefly tell me about the history of Lions team, such as legendary players or MVP players on the team?
Okay, well, the Lions have been the Detroit Lions since 1934, so over 75 years. We were originally the Portsmouth, Ohio Spartans, and a contingency of men from Detroit bought the team and moved them to Detroit in 1934. The contingency owned them until 1945 when our current owner, William Clay Ford, bought out the rest of the partners and owned the team. And he has been the owner since 1945. That is William Clay Ford of the Ford family, who is the Ford Motor Company family. Okay, we have had many Hall of Fame players over the years, from Yale Larry to Joe Schmidt to Lem Barney to Charlie Sanders, Barry Sanders. I mean, we have a really rich history. We won a lot of championships in the 1950s. We were one of the most prominent teams in the league in the 1950s and won championships in 52, 53, and 57. We don't have a Super Bowl championship or an NFL championship since then, but we've had a lot of good teams over the years and a lot of great players. That's probably kind of tricky because it's not played in Korea, so it's hard for them to know the sport and learn the sport. But football is a great sport, a fun sport, a great sport to watch and for kids to play. I think one thing might be somehow to expose them to watching games either on TV or actual games, even if it's as young as high school football or pee-wee football or flag football, so they can kind of see the game, learn the game, and get to know the game. I don't know if there's a local society, a Korean society of local people that would be able, that you could get to as a group, maybe bring them to a Lions game or bring them to a college game. We have tons of college football around, from Wayne State to Eastern to Central to Michigan, so that they can get exposed to it. Obviously, football is everywhere on TV, so TV would be a great way to expose them. And young kids to play flag football or, just tackle football out at schools or at community centers would be another good way to expose them, I think.
How are the players doing?
Well, it's the off season. So once the football season ends and they're done, they take a little bit of a break. Their bodies are pretty beat up, pretty bruised up. They're pretty tired, so they take a little bit of a rest for their bodies so they can recover, heal. Right now, the guys, a lot of them work out, but that's on their own. Starting in April, they will come back to the facility and start doing workouts that are organized workouts through the team. Some will be just weightlifting and running, and then as we get a little farther along, they'll start having some actual practices. So right now it's a little bit of a rest period with some working out on their own. Then in April, they'll start coming back and working back up into the season.
Oh, okay. For the coming season, is there any plan for enforcing the team? If some players are transferring from other teams, who are they?
Well, right now, we're sort of in a lull with that period. We had a really good year, like you said. There's a lot of our own players whose contracts are up that we would like to re-sign. So free agency, a lot of those players are free agents, and that will start next week, in the middle of March. So other teams will look at some of our players, and we'll look at some of them and try to re-sign them. We hope to re-sign a lot of our good players from last year. In addition, we might look for some other positions that we might think we need a little bit of help at and try to find some free agents and bring them to us through those positions. The draft, the NFL draft, is another really big event in the off season, which happens in April, and that is where we draft players out of college and get new players through college. This year, our first round draft pick is number 23, so we're the 23rd pick overall in the draft. So we hope to get a good player at that position, and then there's 5 rounds of the draft. So we'll have several other picks after that. So that's another way of getting new players. So free agency, the draft, and re-signing some of our current players is what we'll be working towards in the off-season to keep the team successful and having another good year this season. The league, the NFL has several programs for different, like there's a big Hispanic program that they're working on to bring in Hispanic fans and make Hispanic people understand the game better, some sort of similar. You know, right now I don't think the Korean market is on their radar per se as a specific market. But like I was saying before, I think things like exposing kids to the games, whether it be on TV or playing at an organized community center or coming to a game, maybe bringing a group of students to a game so they can see what the game is about. You know, there might be some ways to do things like that could be worked on.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. 오늘 디트로이트 라이온스 팀의 본사에 와서 팀 상황을 알아보았습니다. 현재 선수들은 시즌이 끝난 후 개인 운동 및 휴식을 취하고 있는 중이고 그 관계로 지금 이 빌딩 안에는 선수들은 없었습니다. 하지만 앞으로 한인 커뮤니티와 미시간에 있는 디트로이트 라이온스 팀과의 관계에 대해서 더욱 전망이 밝다는 소식을 접하게 되었습니다. 미시간 코리안 타임스의 남희성입니다.